So I've been playing chess a bit recently, and YouTube knows this because I watch various different chess chess videos, right? Um, and so it recommended me an interview of really old Bobby Fischer. If you don't know, he was like a grandmaster, right? Uh, but basically, it was him talking about how he hates chess theory, and it wasn't really like as much of a thing back when he was more of a grandmaster, and as he got older, he just hated it, and it really reminded me of what is currently going on in the Minecraft PvP community, um, mainly the pot PvP community. I don't really know how it's gone down in places like UHC or Bed Wars or whatever. I think you have this to some extent, but especially in pot PvP because they're a lot more traditionalist in a sense, and they kind of had a invasion, you could say, from like Hypixel and stuff from the newer gen players. But stuff like uh, double clicking was the first big one, but now you got stuff like jump canceling or whatever. Jumping to cancel your knockback and hit selecting and drag clicking, whatever. And just people are learning the very basic game mechanics that like make up the game and what happens. Like they're really like dissecting it, right? And that bothers a lot of people, especially because it's completely changing, how the game works, and it just makes it so much more irritating to a lot of people. Talk about how just no one takes knockback anymore and stuff, or just they don't like that they're really just like using every advantage that they can find, which I personally don't have a problem with this, but obviously some people do. There's a lot of change that goes into it, and it will make it less fun if you're looking for a certain kind of gameplay. And I mean, having people take knockback is enjoyable, like and I do think that it is a bit oversaturated, you know. Um, People have not quite gotten the timings and stuff down perfectly. But I mean, in sumo, if you go play sumo, like a lot of the old, really popular sumo players, they just can't play it anymore, or they won't, just because of every hit is just like hit selecting and jump, knockback canceling by jumping, or I forgot what it was called, but, the jumping to stop the knockback. But really, I mean, it was inevitable. Like this was going to happen when you have games that are that big, Minecraft, chess, and been around that long. People are going to dissect the game and put it at its most bare bones thing and find every single little advantage they can find. I don't have any problem with that. And I mean, I do that to some extent, but also, if I'm fighting someone who I know that hates butterfly clicking, I'll try to just jitter click. I mean, I try to have some amount of honor to those who deserve it. I mean, if I'm fighting a bee hopper or something, it's different. I lose all honor when fighting a cheater. Really, you could say Stimpy was a lot like Bobby Fischer of Minecraft, because just Stimpy dominated pop PvP for so long. He was looked up to by so many players. He does still have a lot of those more traditional senses. He doesn't really like the game all like that. I mean, Lunar, the server that Stimpy's a part of, he butterfly clicking is banned on there, and I know that because I have been banned for butterfly clicking on there. Now, I wasn't breaking the rules on purpose. I didn't know that it was bannable at that point, because they were shifting all around at the time, but the server had just updated. I got banned for butterfly clicking in like ranked boxing or something. And I don't have a problem with servers banning that. I think that's fine. It is nice to have a place where people shouldn't butterfly click. There's nothing wrong with that. You see people complaining about it a ton on like Mindmen Club, which it's discouraged. It's not bannable. I'm not sure if it's discouraged. I mean, it's butterfly clicking has become so widespread, right? And even stuff like hit selecting and stuff now has become incredibly high, like widespread. And I mean, like on stuff Hypixel, like hardly anyone cares. I mean, there's some PvPers who like play on Hypixel, some old players who don't like butterfly clickers. But honestly, dude, it's just who cares about like it's Hypixel, dude. It's Hypixel. But honestly, the butterfly clicking and jerk clicking thing, you know, people will flip out about this stuff and the jump resetting and the hit selecting, yeah. But the main place that you see this happening is on Mindmen Club, or at least that's what I've seen. Because on Hypixel, if they're doing that in Bed Wars, first of all, butterfly kicking and stuff came from Bed Wars. You got the whole drag clicking thing in German Bed Wars and such that happened. But it's in a game, right? And so it's not something like very simple and bare like sumo, right? Because if you're doing these things in sumo, they don't have crazy effect on other games like Bed Wars. I mean, sure, make you better at PvP. That's not all that goes into Bed Wars. With sumo, that's like it. That's it's just PvP, and that's what practice servers are for. Is just practicing specific techniques. So just sumo, it's knock the other guy off of the platform. That's the entire goal of sumo, right? And that's basically you learning how to take less knockback and have them take more knockback, right? Servers like Mindmen Club and stuff. I'm not sure if Mindmen Club specifically. I started playing competitively in like 2018, so I'm not a super old player. And I mean, I started playing Minecraft in 2013, but had no internet, right? But how I understand it is that you know practice servers were getting made because you got things like HCF, and obviously they want to have an advantage. They want to be able to have a place to practice these things, and I think practice servers, they took inspiration from like soup servers and stuff, right? It was to practice for these larger games, right? You hop on the practice server and try to get better at pop PvP or whatever, and then or warm up, for example. You try to warm up, and then you go on your HCF server and play because that's the main game that you were really playing back in the day. Well, the thing is that the bit that most people found the most fun about HCF was the combat, and that's all that the practice servers were. Was just the 1v1s, right? At least that's how I perceive this, right? Obviously, there's more factors that go into that, but I feel like that's one of them. I would say HCF declines in popularity a bit, and practice servers get a lot more popular, right? Because that is part that most people had the fun with in HCF. Fighting other players, right? And they don't have to worry about any of the grind and stuff. And there's a lot of people who play video games who don't enjoy just spending hundreds of hours, you know, holding down a button. Now, there's a lot of people that enjoy doing that. Not all of them, okay? Skyblock has a big success, but you know what I'm saying. People are impatient. They want to get right to the action. They don't want to have to worry about all that stuff and losing progress and stuff. You can just go on the practice server, learn some stuff. Then you can also you can make more dangerous plays. In the end, you'll end up playing better, right? Because you're learning stuff that you wouldn't have learned otherwise, because you're taking bigger risks. I wouldn't call butterfly clicking a core game mechanic. Sure, it was like kind of frowned upon in the older parts of the PvP community, but that's not taking the game down to its bare bones. That's just a clicking method, right? And it's got double clicking in it, and that's somewhat controversial. What it is really, taking down is the like stuff like hit selecting, right? You're getting closer and closer, is what I'm saying. I wouldn't even call butterfly clicking the start of like that whole thing. I would call it the prologue. And of course, you're always going to have advancements, but we are getting closer to the the start. Because with hit selecting, you're starting to get that more timing instead of just clicking and clicking, right? There's more timing involved, and I do stuff like that instinctively to take less knockback. I mean back when like before pretty much anybody knew about hit selecting before that term was invented. I mean like years ago, I used to main sumo and I had really bad stamina, right, with jitter clicking and butterfly clicking. So I learned normal click, then butterfly, then jitter click, right? Um, and since I was learning jitter click, I would do that in sumo. Easy way to practice jitter click is while playing sumo, right? It's pretty simple game. This was on Hypixel, by the way. But I had really bad stamina with jitter clicking, and so I would switch to butterfly mid click, and I was like, I might be useful to be able to switch really fast. And after a while, I realized there was something about it that was actually working. And so my current theory, well, not my current theory, but my theory at the time was that basically it like changed the rhythm of my knockback when I switched from butterfly to jitter or jitter to butterfly. It would like yeah, it would change the rhythm, and then the opponent wouldn't be used to what I was taking knockback. It would be unexpected. It would just randomly changed, and then they would move back because they weren't properly adapted at that point. Because I had just changed in the middle of like when we were hitting each other, trading, um, and so they would get knocked back. And if I did it wrong, obviously I would go into the other side. It was all about timing. Now I'm pretty sure that was hit selecting. I was hit selecting on accident, and so just over time, I slowly just naturally found hit selecting just by playing the game without even knowing it. Before I had heard anything about it. I was gonna make a video, basically introducing what I was gonna call CPS swapping, swapping between the two. Um, and so I was gathering clips for it, and I never got that done because I'm lazy. I mean, yeah, that was pretty much just hit selecting. And so, but pretty much you have all this stuff together, like understanding all the core mechanics of how the game was built. Um, and at this point, a lot of players kind of hate this, right? New players, there's tons of nons who are just like, servers are too sweaty now, all right? Which wouldn't say that's the right terminology, but they're a bunch of nons, so they don't know any better. Um, they do have a point. I don't mind them being more difficult. It's more of a challenge, but the difficulty level has definitely risen. People are way better than they used to be on places like, well, really all servers. Like, yeah, well, people have definitely gotten better at the game. The the more advanced players, they're getting to the point where there's not much more improvement you can have on practice servers. I mean, of course, on games like Bed Wars, you got game sense. A lot goes into it, and though I don't completely agree with them, there's still more you can do. I mean, once you get to a point where it seems like it caps off, and if it actually does cap off, the nature of the game will change. People will play differently to beat you. They'll just play outlandishly different. Like it'll be completely alien. You'll have something like that happen, even if you just turn into a robot. Because going back to chess, you got Stockfish, which is an AI on chess.com, right? Um, and though people can't really beat like max level computer at chess, the computer also isn't perfect. It takes energy for it to think, it takes time, to be able to think. It was programmed by humans. For example, there's some gambits and such, some things where like you'll sacrifice a piece, and the bot won't necessarily realize right away that that's a thing, and it'll make the move before the time gets to it. And obviously, if you have a more advanced computer, it's gonna work faster. But like if you have robotically amazing timing in Minecraft and you just never take knockback, people are just going to play differently. It's going to not only be irritating for them since you're taking no knockback, they're going to play differently. It's going to be irritating for you to fight them, and they're going to play horribly. Which honestly, if it does get to a point where people just don't move, and it's just them hitting each other back and forth, just trading the entire game, which I have seen happen in boxing matches. Right, it's even happened to me, and it gets more and more common. And I haven't played in like a month, so it, I mean, I would imagine more and more like um, understanding of those core mechanics and being able to take less and less knockback and stuff. And with all of this, first of all, even if new gens learn this, they're still going to be bad because they can't aim. And so the top players are still going to be the top players. Second of all, more than just CPS goes into this. Like half a year ago or whatever, my strafing, or maybe a year ago, I don't know. My strafing was really obvious when I would strafe, and I don't play much anymore. But while I was, starting to play less, I played some combo and looked at what the leaderboard players did. Now my strafing is like, or at least people say my strafing's really hard to track, and it's because in combo, it's the strafing is pretty big reliance, at least on Hypixel. Um, you know, you need really good tracking and really good strafing, and when you're playing combo, and so my strafing's gotten like unpredictable, and things like that will happen where you make a mistake to beat them, right? It's like a gambit, right? In chess. You can do more complicated stuff that just robots just don't have that same thing. Now, you could definitely get that in there, but there'll still be that separating line between players who are bad and players who suck, and like there'll still be a skill difference even if they both don't take knockback. It will get less enjoyable, I think, and I feel like the nature of duels and practice services in general is gonna change because I mean, at its current state is decent. It's decently popular, but I don't think you can have those very basic games for too much time. They'll still be there, and especially with like the 1.19 update, people are, they hate that update. They realize that Mojang is not actually their friend. I kind of knew that they were gonna do this for a really long time, so I don't know why everyone's so surprised, but I'm gonna say it again. Just a bunch of new gens. They don't know they don't know. There, I feel like there might be an influx from that because people are going to be looking at the older versions. I've already seen this with like the really old versions, like the alpha or beta or whatever. People have been looking into that. There's been like mod packs for that, and there's been some light shed onto those guys who were making like mod packs for. It was like the better than adventure mod pack or something. Went in my recommended. It was pretty cool. I probably not gonna play it, but people are going to be taking a look at these older versions. I'd say that some of the oldest versions, you got 1.12. I think 1.16.5 was another one, and you got 1.8 and also 1.7. 1.8 PvP and then 1.7 PvP, and also massive modding, really old, but massive modding scene still back then in 1.7. There might be an influx from players from that, and also just because you're reaching that end of practice server stuff, people aren't going to stay around playing practice servers. Like my friends who don't play as much are like, oh, let's play boxing. Boxing's so boring. Like it was fun when it first came out. It's really boring now. Like there were so many boxing videos of people doing stuff, and I play boxing. Combos are not satisfying in boxing anymore. I got a 360 and 720 every single hit to be able to feel like I did mediocre. If I get a 100 hit combo but don't do any trick shots or anything, it's lame. Like why would it's like cheating. I but boxing's boring, right? Sumo is also boring. That's why I don't play sumo anymore. I'm not a sumo main anymore. Mindman Club doesn't have the same allure as like the titles on Hypixel does. Even though Mindman Club's honestly the duels on that are higher quality than the ones on Hypixel. The the titles are just more that they the titles feel more worthwhile to grind on Hypixel, and I mean sure it's just like letters and colors, but like I don't know. The ones on the titles on Mind Men are not very interesting to me. I wouldn't really see a reason to grind for them. I just, you know, play it whenever I'm bored on Mind Men and don't want to deal with Hypixel, you know. And so I feel like Mind Men is gonna have to work on something else, which of course they are. I've been pretty impressed with Mind Men. They're doing pretty good as a server. I feel like if they really get a grasp on the player base, find an opportunity to just really benefit from they'll. I feel like they could really skyrocket up into the five digits. Like they're usually above 1,000 players, which is pretty good. I remember when they were only a few hundred. I feel like they could get up into the tens of thousands if they pulled something off. They're trying to do survival game. That was pretty cool. I played a few of those. Hypixel doesn't deserve all the glory. Honestly, it really needs some competition. I'm not the first person to say that. I feel like it's still worth saying again. And I feel like Mindman Club could be the one to do it. That's in North America. I mean, you could have Mindmen, and Mindmen also, it's got that much different community than Hypixel. Hypixel is more of mini games, and Mindmen, it's the more competitive side. You could have these two. I feel like if Mindmen was able to get like more interesting games going, that would be really cool. Mindmen had some interesting ones, right? They made boxing, I'm pretty sure, and Battle Rush. I'm not sure if they made them. They at least popularized them, but they're so simple. Mindmen is. They don't try complex things. I guess because they're a practice server, but they put survival games on there, and I saw Skywars, although that's usually in most practice servers, just sitting there saying it's whitelisted. I don't know why every practice server puts, they they put Skywars in survival games and it never gets released. It just kind of sits there. But I feel like if Mindmen branched out, they didn't just rely on their past. If they kept the good things from the past, drop the stupid stuff and then try some new stuff. It might be stupid, but then you just move on and drop the stupid stuff again, right? Until you get something new that's good, right? Coming up with new stuff. It's like I feel like that's one of the things about Hypixel, right? When I saw they were making Skyblock, I thought it was just gonna be another Skyblock server, honestly, and I knew it would be more popular than any of the other ones because it was Hypixel. No, it was nothing like other Skyblock servers. It was vastly different. I was expecting something like what Mindplex did with clans and Mindplex's like take on factions. You need to have something new, something creative. You can't keep relying on the past to make you know bangers. You, you need you need you need some of that old stuff, right? And some of it is marketing, right? Almost everyone knows what Skyblock is, but who actually wants to play classic Skyblock? Quite a few people, or at least think they do. But like I mean, people do. I guess I don't know, but I mean, not that many, right? But Hypixel made Skyblock different. They made it better, I'd say. The Skyblock server thing. They made it better with all the customization and creativity that went into it, and it really wasn't even the same as Skyblock, right? You could the biggest similarity is, well, I guess you're in the sky, and then the name is the same. But Sky- Hypixel does this with like lot the all pretty much all the games they make. Usually, that they add another element on top of it. I feel like Mindman just really needs to try something more complex. It's got a very simplistic view. Um, all their games are just very simple, which can be good, but when people stretch things to the limit so much, it does start to get repetitive, right? But pretty much, I feel like there will be a major change in the game soon. In the PvP community, there's gotta be. It's been idle too long, and especially with the 1.19 update, people are furious. They're gonna be going back to older versions. There's gotta be something new, and I'm not saying it's coming from Mindmen or Hypixel. It could be some new guy, but I feel like something will happen. And it might not go to PvP. Maybe
maybe that the big change will be that people leave. I don't leave and go play way older versions. I mean, that happened to some extent. They got people playing the beta, right? Better than adventure mod pack or whatever, right? A bunch of people went and did that because I think it got popular because of the 1.19 update. People are angry about all the censorship. Also, that doesn't affect me because I don't play the new versions. Ha ha ha. So, pretty much what I'm saying is Mineman Club is a practice server. And people complaining about, you know, people getting too good. That's what the server was for, you know? It was it's a practice server. It's for them to practice to get better. It was made so you could learn how to, practice techniques for games, but more simple techniques so they could focus on one specific thing, right? You got the Bed Wars 1v1 on Minemen, right? That is obviously for Bed Wars, or the Sky Wars 1v1. Yeah, Sky Wars, right? Pop PvP is simpler version of HCF. Obviously, there's HCF duels. HCF, no way. That's unbelievable, right? Sumo. I mean, that one is even more simple than the others because it doesn't just correspond to one game. It just corresponds to not taking knockback and making the other guy take knockback. These are to practice, to warm up on. The old players don't like the new gens because the new gens have no respect for the old players, and the old players don't want to learn what the new gens have. You have children. You try to make your children have a better life than you had, right? Isn't that the goal, right? Isn't that why people invent stuff and try to help people and be more prosperous? It's they're pretty stupid, but I mean, you know, bunch of nons. They don't know what's going on, man. They're attached to the past, I guess. They don't want to see it go away, right? It's probably going to be a some sort of pretty big change to competitive PvP community, and honestly, the Minecraft regular Minecraft community in general, from the 1.19 update, right? I feel like it's gonna start going the other way and getting more complex. The games will be, which is cool. I really like more complex games and stuff. Like music. I don't like the super simple stuff as much. Um, and also, people are angry at Mojang. They're gonna be moving back to some old versions because they don't want to deal with the garbage or worry about what's getting put out. Kind of like in 1.9, some people will also probably quit, right? Because they're upset, and they'll rate the game 1 star. I guess expect something different. I don't know, because yeah, and also I'm kind of a duels channel, I guess, or at least YouTube thinks I am, because that's where most of my views come from is duels. Pretty sure some of my most popular videos are from duels. I'd say that's probably where I'm most well known in the internets, and so Hypixel's knockback is interesting, and especially the duels knockback because the knockback's different between games. Like, I, I don't know what I don't know what goes on inside the minds of the people who make Hypixel, but it's interesting. Yeah, how the server works. I Anyway, yeah, the knockback sucks. It's very dynamic, and then also there's a CPS cap at 16. A lot of people don't realize for some reason. It's pretty obvious to me. That's actually, unless it's lagging, which the server is usually lagging. But if it's not lagging, like a medium amount at least, if it's lagging a little bit, this probably won't affect it. The reason you're getting particles, there's like a 90% chance that it's because you're clicking too fast. It could be that they're farther ahead on they're closer to you on your screen, but the server actually has them farther ahead, or that it's lagging, as I said. Yeah.
They at one point they raised it to like 26 or something. It was so nice. I was like going nuts with like 22 CPS. I was drag clicking in sumo. That was a bad boy. That was like a year or two ago. Um, but yeah, this video has nothing to do with Hypixel. Well, I suppose there will be some sort of change, which I feel like will still apply to Hypixel, but Hypixel still makes their games pretty complicated. Although honestly, their most recent one, Wall Wars, first of all, pretty boring. I mean, like the gameplay, it was alright, but it's kind of boring. And then also, so I yeah, I mean, I assume that their next one's gonna be like more complicated. You want a game that's easy to learn, easy to understand, hard to master, right? You know, the basics of chess, simple, right? Being good at chess, not simple. You want a lot of room for improvement. And you can have something like that with Bed Wars. For example, simple to understand the goal of the game is, right? You go break the bets. It's a simple looking game, a lot of room. You don't want something like tic tac toe. Like, sure, that's easy to understand, but also you could literally just memorize all the moves. And so easy to learn, easy to master. By the way, I'm a tic tac toe grand champion. You can't beat me because I do know all the moves actually, or all the relevant ones. I didn't memorize it because I used to play tic tac toe against myself. Kind of weird. Anyway, that's all that I really have to say about Minecraft. But yeah, this is my first time making a video here like this. I don't know how it's gonna go. Probably gonna be all over the place because I mean, I'm obviously gonna edit it, but at the time, I mean, it's like 1 a.m., but it's all over the place. I kept forgetting what I was talking about. Also, it's not live footage, obviously, because first time doing this, and I would never be able to get a point across if I was playing. Like, sure, I could talk about a subject, but I would actually just forget and then go on talking about something else. Which I feel like it would be fun to do, just talking over while I'm playing, but I don't know. The real reason that I'm not doing something like that is I'm actually in France right now, so I don't have my whole setup, and I don't feel like playing Minecraft competitively with a little tiny mouse pad and a laptop. I mean, I could. I'm not going to. Also, Hypixel, pretty laggy at 50 ping, 100 ping. It is laggier. Also, the place I'm at in France has worse internet. I have fiber optics at my house at home, which is in America, so easier. It's more fun, and honestly, just not that into Minecraft right now. Mostly been playing other games. Was playing a bit of FTL, and then also a lot of Bannerlord. Very good game. I would recommend to anybody that likes video games. I'm not sure about that, but it's really good. I really like Bannerlord. Got like over 800 hours on it right now, which I know that's not that much, but it's still pretty decent. But yeah, pretty much just saw the made this video because I saw the interesting parallel between the craft and chess, and then thought about the time when I basically had the very first clues of hit selecting, and then I didn't make it because I was lazy, and now I guess I could make it, but I'd look like kind of a clown. Although I everyone thinks I'm a clown anyways, so I don't know what that would change. I guess it would just make me more clownish. Um, I don't know what else to say here that wouldn't sound retarded, but that's all. Carry on.